Thanks, Laritz. That was wonderful. I like that when it coincides with the content that we're doing. Let's talk about a little Starbucks action in there. I didn't know about this Dungeons and Dragons news. That's terrible news.
Yeah. So people complain about me polishing my boots on the air. Is it okay if I clean my rifle?
I guess so.
Can I do that?
As long as we can't hear the constant noise. And actually, like if your arm looks like it's going up and down in a jerking motion as you do it, that would be a plus. But people can't actually see what you're doing.
I want to get you a Stahlhelm and have you polish that.
Oh, that could be fun.
So you'll literally be sitting there polishing a helmet. Alex is just polishing his helmet. Don't worry about that. He's just polishing his helmet.
So I like that meme that you showed us. It's when the barista begins to hate, essentially.
Yeah, well, that meme that came out of that picture that came out of it with that guy Zach, Starbucks employee Zach, just, white guy,
just standing like
sitting there, just like.
Is there any info on that guy?
As the POC circus.
Think about who you could be if you're Zach. I assume Zach has a mountain of student loan debt racked up behind him, and all he can get is this shitty barista job. Although they've gone out of their way to maybe he'll get some bennies, he'll get some benefits, he'll get a decent. They have like a raise structure. They have a raise schedule at Starbucks because they want to pretend like it's a real job. And so poor Zach, mountains of student loan debt. He made it through college. He did the bit. He did the he kept his mouth shut if he has any wrong opinions.
He's probably got like a postgraduate degree.
Yeah, and now he's
like art history.
And he went through all that just to have Negroes shouting at him over something essentially that he probably had nothing to do. Had nothing to do with, right? I mean, like.
He did.
Well, he was white, so he had something to do with it.
But I mean, like that's your thanks. That's your thanks for that. Thank you for playing, Zach. That's what you get from Clown World. You get to your shit.
It's starting to dawn on him. Like right after that happened, Zach was immediately like trying to figure out what the top level domain of the Daily Stormer was.
Yeah, Zach immediately jumped on Discord and created an account in hopes that he would be discovered by the SPLC as an internet.
No, I think that guy Zach. Immediately, he started to reach out to the. He started listening to Richard Spencer's speeches on YouTube. He started. This is good.
I'll check the paywall. I'll check the paywall info for Zach the barista's name to show up.
See if you got a new sign up from Zach.
At the very least, there better be Zach the barista on the forum within the next 48 hours.
Yeah, like hey Zach, reach out.
Reach out, bro.
See, we should try and get the community in touch with Zach. See, that would be such a coup for us if we could get this guy to like come on the show and like, or just be come out as like I was, soy boy shitlib, and then this happened.
Okay, we could probably find a job for him that would pay as much or better. I mean, that should be pretty easy.
Or at the very least, let's not ruin his life. Let's just say he can secretly be our friend behind the scenes. How did this happen? Reach out. We won't fucking put you on the show.
Implying that that's not already the case. That I haven't already been chatting with the guy. But no, I'm joking. That's a joke.
So,
but
the black coffee scandal of 2018. Here we go. Right?
Yeah. So I mean, the thing is that basically, like, I bet you that stuff like this has happened at Starbucks. Because the thing is, all right. So what happened is blacks were in this Starbucks in Chicago. I think it was in Chicago.
I think it was Philly, wasn't it? Wasn't it Philly?
Oh, it was Philly. Sorry, it was Philly. My bad. Okay,
wrong black hellhole. I mean, trade one for the other.
Wrong city.
Wrong American shithole. Yeah, that's been overrun with legs.
Once beautiful city, now overrun by diversity. So they were in there, and they weren't leaving. They were sitting down. They weren't ordering anything.
Well, and they were probably reading French existentialism or something like that.
They were claiming they were having a meeting.
They have their MacBook Pros out with all the anti-war. Well, I'm sorry, we don't do anti-war stickers on our MacBook Pros anymore. What am I saying? The left doesn't do that.
Anti-war.
No, I forgot. I forgot what decade this was. Excuse me.
But if you actually look at the pictures, because there's pictures of this incident, those blacks do not look. The clothes that they're wearing, they don't look like they had a change of clothes in several days. So these look like these were not actually people that were there for a meeting.
Isn't there video?
They were there. I think there's video of it, and there's photographs of it. But the main point is, like, let's be honest, like, this kind of crap happens all over America every day, several times. You get blacks going into a place of business, making themselves a nuisance, not spending any money, taking up the time of the staff, making the other customers uncomfortable, stinking the whole place up. and then they get physically removed. And because it was Starbucks, and it's a shitlib company run by shitlib Jews, like what's his name, Kurtzman or something like that. Is that the guy's name? What's the guy's? I forget. Anyway, the guy that runs the Starbucks is an absolute globalist shitlib Jew. Yeah. Okay, 100%. And so, you know, they felt like they could put this pressure and they could get what they wanted. So they organized a protest there. They harassed poor Zach behind the counter. He's just trying to do his job, you know, pay off his hundreds of thousands of dollars of student loans by selling coffee. Mm-hmm. And, yeah, you know, and then the next thing you know, the company cucks hard. Yeah. They're having Black People Day, as JF said. The Black People Day is going to be...
I have the 911 called. Is it interesting? Should we listen to it? I guess, I guess this is already like imposed on our recording and played itself. I'll play it the rest of the way here.
Philadelphia Police, Operator 363. How may I help you? Hi, I have two gentlemen at my cafe that are refusing to make a purchase or leave.
Gentlemen.
I'm at the Starbucks at 18th and Spruce. All right, please. I'll be on as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thanks for your phone.
Thank you.
Starbucks worker.
Huh?
Yeah, can you send one over here? Alright. 916, they start over there. 1801 Spruce, and got a 916 supervisor start over 1801 Spruce.
Alright, the officers requested backup. I guess that's what that second bit was. I don't know. So.
Oh, okay, yeah, because they caused a scene and they refused to leave. So it's like, and they're like, we're here for a meeting, and like our friend, and then the thing is, then they
order
said,
a coffee. Don't you have $1? Oh, I'm sorry, it's Starbucks. Don't you have $2?
Yeah, well,
apparently
why
not.
$5? But like while you're there, like it's like, okay, you're there for a meeting, fine, but you're still not ordering anything. And then the whole thing of them being there for a meeting, which is bullshit.
I'm sure
and they're saying, oh, another person is coming, right? And then like.
Well, you know,
that
Mike,
guy showed up.
This brings
let me finish this.
Okay, I have a meme though.
Let me finish the story.
The meme is more important than the story.
All right,
it always is.
Fine. You go.
Since
you do the show.
The nature of what we're doing here, or what we're looking at, is so you're saying this may or may not have been staged. These black men were not engaged in any sort of business meeting. They weren't going to be. So this leads us to the question:
dude, they were fucking homeless men.
Was it MyHop or LIHOP?
Pictures of them. They look like they're fucking.
Was it MyHop or LIHOP? Was this a setup? Or was it just seized upon by Jewish forces to make something out of it, to embarrass?
That's an interesting question. That actually, the story I was trying to tell, which apparently your thing was so important that you had to interrupt it.
It was. I think it worked.
Was that essentially right? Okay, so essentially, these guys, these two blacks, were sitting there refusing to leave, and they were like, "We're here for a meeting." This is why they said, but they had been there for like an hour. And then they're like, another guy is coming to the meeting. And then after the arrest and everything, the media is giving credence to this they're there for a meeting story, pretending like this isn't just total bullshit, by the fact that the third guy like later on shows up and was like, oh yeah, I was here for the meeting. But it's all bullshit, because if you look at how they're dressed, like they're not there for a meeting.
Right.
And I also, however, to your point, I would not be surprised if this was a setup.
But you guys are claiming, if this is the first time I ever hear a false flag from a Starbucks.
Yes, MyHop or LIHOP. You got which? You got to figure out which.
Listen.
Poetry.
No, but JF, listen. This is not like you might think that this sounds absurd, but this is not out of the realm of possibility at all. In fact, it's kind of likely, given that there was a coordinated response like this. And the other thing is that a lot of times this, like Rosa Parks, you remember Rosa Parks?
That was a LIHOP. That was a MyHop, actually.
And so I see that this is a potential thing like that. Like the Rosa Parks thing was a setup. It was planned by civil rights groups. She did it. She knew she was going to get arrested. She was getting arrested on purpose. They had media. They had the whole thing ready to respond when it happened. And I wouldn't be surprised if this is the same kind of thing. It's not that it's a false flag. It's a stunt. They go in. They get these black guys arrested. They are there prepared with an entire protest response the very next day. And then it gets out into the media, and then Starbucks does all this shit. I would not be surprised at all. This was planned by a civil rights organization.
I actually heard that one of these young black gentlemen was actually the great grandson of one Aleister Crowley. Citation not needed.
Good joke.
So he's related to Barbara Bush. Barbara Bush is his grandmother.
That was the meme I was mocking, but okay.
That was what I was trying to.
Whether it was a stunt or not, it's a sad thing. This is the fight of our generation. I mean, this is what shit libs can hang on to. Mm-hmm. This is criminal trespass, and it doesn't matter if it's a black person doing it, a white person doing it. We are not entitled to the property of other people, and if they ask us to leave, we leave.
Right. Well, the problem with Starbucks is
if it's a black person or white person, but there's there's a statistical tendencies here.
The problem is Starbucks' business model is you come in and you just hang out for hours on end, right? Like people use that as like their office their office outside the home. They go down with their fucking laptop and they have coffee. They spend like $4 and sit there for 6 hours. Like you can have that as your business model in a nice society, in a homogenous society. You can probably get away with that, but you run into problems here where you have all these disparate factions.
You got a lot of neighbors.
You got people who don't have any place to be. Like if these guys are homeless, so I think that's part of the problem right there. Like who wants to do anything about the homeless? Nobody. People want to come out and show for them that they need some place to go and stuff like that. And then you can't throw these. You literally cannot throw loitering non-customers out of your establishment anymore because of the color of their skin. That's where
it used to be. Well, first of all, they would have been able to do it to white people. So there's a racial double standard.
Right. That's all you can do it for.
Telling white people to get out because they're not buying stuff, they would be fine.
Well, first of all, white people would just leave. They would just leave.
White people wouldn't cause a stink. They'd be like, all right, we'll leave.
Well, white people
would buy coffee before sitting down for 4 hours.
Yeah, if I was going to it for a meeting in Starbucks, I would buy a coffee, and basically you sit there as long as you can.
Every time I have used the Starbucks as a meeting place, which I have done, I get a coffee even if I don't really want one because it's just what you're supposed to do.
Thing about Starbucks, they also have a bathroom problem. Apparently, the restrooms in Starbucks are used for all sorts of extracurricular activities that people get thrown out for. This is the problem
because Starbucks, in an effort to be, it used to be that in an effort to be that guy, like that company, that nice neighborly company, they actually had a thing in New York City where they let you just use the restroom and you didn't have to make purchases. And it became particular. I remember the one right around Union Square. Yeah. If you know Union Square, there was this McDonald's right next to it. It's now something else. It's closed. They closed down that Starbucks and it's some other business now. There was a McDonald's right there, and then right next to it was a Starbucks. And if you were to wander through that neighborhood at say midnight or 1 o'clock on a weekend night,
oh boy,
no. Absolutely forget about it, right? And I had been actually one time I remember our good pal, if you remember, a rather large fellow from Alaska with a big blonde beard. He had been visiting, and we hung out. We were hanging out. He was visiting New York, and we were going around hanging out. We went up to Williamsburg, had some drinks, and we came back into the train, the L train, got off at Union Square, and we both had to really, we were running on a full tank. So we really both had to hit a restroom, and I was like, "Oh, the Starbucks will let us do it." So we got in line, and the line was already out the door.
Yeah,
and like somebody was in there and like wasn't leaving, and the staff was knocking on the door, and they ended up calling the police. So we just went to a bar down the street, and we told the bartender, like, we're gonna get beers, but we have to use the restroom first.
Yeah.
And so like,
the funny thing is, like, go into the McDonald's next door and try to use their bathroom, right? Like they have like a special key. There's like probably a code on the door to let you in. They won't let you in unless you spend
Well, actually, not at that McDonald's.
Oh, really? That McDonald's will let you use the bathroom too? Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, the bathroom is downstairs. They've got like this is just because I know these particular establishments. I have tried to, at like a Panera Bread, I've tried to duck in and use the restroom, and no, like they do have like a key and they give you a code when you buy something.
Yeah,
you get a code on your receipt, and then you type that in, and that'll let you into the bathroom.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny that like some places do it differently. No, that McDonald's at Union Square, man. You go down to the basement, go down the stairs, and the staff doesn't care.
I don't want to be in. I don't want to be
there. Is like
I don't want to be in the basement of anything in Union Square. That sounds terrible. Like that's enough of a deterrent. That's a deterrent right there in and of itself. It's like, ooh, it's in the basement. I'll pass. I'll go piss in the street. It's not a crime anymore. Anyway.
I mean, there's like seating down there, but still, you don't want to use that McDonald's bathroom by Union Square on a weekend. No, because who knows what's going to be in there?
Who knows what's down there? I mean, that's a racist statement in and of itself, right there. Like, what do you mean by who knows what could be in there? Like, that means you know exactly what could be in there, right? I mean, that's the issue at hand here.
You can imagine will be in there.
Yeah.
Okay, there will be fecal matter, there will be urine, there will be drugs, and there will be reproductive matter. All of that will be in that bathroom, guaranteed. Guaranteed.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Wow.
Oh, Jesus.
I don't know.
And possibly bits of flesh, maybe teeth. I don't know. I mean, who the hell knows?
Starbucks erotic coffee for men.
Oh, was Mike describing the new like Vente Globo Hobo
that's
latte?
That's the new beverage that they have at Starbucks.
This just has all that.
Oh
in there.
God, I wish we had the. I wish we had the Jahan's audio now.
10 deciliters have come, 12 deciliters of piss, 40 deciliters of blood. Yeah, I don't know. I'll never find that drop. I have no idea where that is. But yeah,
I have no idea where that stuff.
I miss Jahan's.
1 centiliter of piss, 1 centiliter of vomit.
Was it centiliter? No, was it centiliters or deciliters?
You were saying centiliter.
Oh, all right. Deciliters is a lot, so that's way off. Yeah, deciliters is a lot more than centiliters.
Yeah,
centiliters. Sorry about that.
Either way, whatever.
But so the question is like, will Starbucks have a new can you order black coffee in Starbucks anymore? Like, think of some like bullshit frital. I like the Fritalian. Like, will they have a Fritalian word for black coffee? Like,
yeah.
I mean, it can't be cafe negro.
I love just going in there and be like, I'll take a large coffee, black.
Well, you could probably order the full body latte. I'm sure.
Maybe large coffee black is just code for I'm going to sit at this table for 4 hours. Leave me alone. I'm not buying anything. I'm a large black coffee. That just means I'm going to loiter.
I'm not moving.
Here's $1. Put $1 in the tip jar and just sit over here and smell bad.
What's
for a
that
while.
meme where like it's like that old cartoon where like the barista like won't say like it's like a black guy at the counter and the black guy's like ordering the coffee. He's like, yeah, I'll have a coffee. He's like, do you want it regular or blue? he won't say black to the black guy.
Can I have a large Lives Matter coffee?
Large Lives Matter. That's gonna be a new one. That's like an obesity.
That's a body positive
acceptance program. Large Lives Matter.
Brittany Venti.
Yeah. Oh,
you like that?
Brittany Venti chai. Yeah.
Well, I went to the trouble of archiving beyond the paywall this New York Times article. You want me to read it? A little bit of it about the neighborhood in Philadelphia where this happened. Some interesting stuff.
Oh boy.
This is just basically stuff that doesn't surprise you at all, but they take as an outrage. Right.
Yeah, let's confirm my biases.
Yeah, I want all my biases confirmed now. Let's go.
To some Black Philadelphia residents who venture into Rittenhouse Square, the neighborhood where it happened, the treatment depicted in the video was frustrating. It was a frustrating reality of everyday life. Christian Hayden, 30, recalled a security guard searching his bags as he left the nearby Barnes & Noble. This is great, Mike. Check this out. The guard found his copy of Ta-Nehisi Coates' memoir, The Beautiful Struggle, and would not let him leave until the staff had checked the shelves to make sure no copy had been stolen. That's like simultaneously being in touch and out of touch with your target demo. Like, it's a black person he probably stole, but did he steal a Ta-Nehisi Coates book? Probably not. I don't know. But I like it. It's like
I'm amazed a black person is reading that book.
I know. Well, no, just carrying it around. It's just in there for security guards to find, to like throw them off the set. Like, I'm not a shoplifter. Look what I read. I read Ta-Nehisi Coates. Oh God! Trevor Johnson, a bike courier, recalled being arrested in the square 4 years ago after an officer asked him to turn off his music, and he got up to walk away. Oh wow! What's such horrible treatment? You didn't do what an officer told you to do, and you got arrested. I like that. Like they always improv. You know, when they get directions, when they take directions from officers of the law, that's a good improvisation. Turn off your music. Instead, like he probably just got up with the music on and started walking away. Like, no, this is good enough. This is my counter offer. Like, oh, you got arrested. Didn't work out. Michelle Bradshaw, 49, said she left the Nordstrom rack not far from the Starbucks after she noticed a security guard following her through the aisles of clothing. Again. Statistics show that Rittenhouse Square, with its hotels, boutique museums, and upscale shops, has the highest racial disparity in the city when it comes to police pedestrian stops. It's almost like people have valuable goings on there that they're trying to protect from being vandalized, burglarized.
Well, it's also like
it's just a reality.
I mean, we don't need to go over this again. This is heuristics. This is people acting based on observation and experience. And the fact is, black people, it sucks for you, but black people steal shit a lot. Black people cause problems a lot.
I think JF's an expert in that,
people
isn't he?
Look at you. Let's be honest here. People fucking look at you, black people, and they assume you're going to do something shitty. They assume you're maybe shoplifting, that you're not going to pay for something, that you're going to cause trouble. And they follow you around stores, and they make sure you're not stealing, and that sucks. But you know what? You know why they do that? Because they have experience with black people. That's why they do that. Because you fit the model. You look like the people that do that. And no matter how much fucking people try to make everybody in this society mentally retarded, pattern recognition is still a thing. I'm sorry. It sucks, but there it is.
Yeah, maybe, it's not just white people that do this to them. It's Asians particularly.
White people will do it less because white people are the most responsive to the social conditioning that says you're not supposed to do it. Asians and Indians, they don't give a fuck. Arabs, they don't give a shit. They will absolutely harass black people out of their establishments. And it's I think it's hilarious because I'm sort of like, all right, well, if you're going to make my world a clown world, at least I can laugh at this shit.
So here's a good money quote from the piece here. According to the ACLU, oh god, black people account for just 3% of the residents in that police sub-district. Yet they make up 2/3 of people stopped by the police in the first half.
I wonder why.
Oh. The people stopped by the cops are probably not the residents.
Why does it keep happening? People. Oh, you can't come up with a reasonable explanation like that, Mike. Come on. People would go.
Yeah, why do like patterns? I mean, it's really quite amazing that one of the basic purposes of our brain, which is pattern recognition, they're like asking you not to use it, and they're like punishing you socially for using it. It's amazing. JF, hot take.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's dangerous discourse to think that you are entitled not to be followed by a security guard. You are on a private property of someone else, and personally, if a security guard follows me around, I'm fine with it. I was not fine with it when I was a young, revolted teenager, kind of communist Marxist type. But I've come to grip with the fact that he's not harassing me. He's protecting his private property, and it's fine. And I agree with Mike. There is pattern recognition, and as long as this is not done in a legal sense, as long as our justice system, our criminal justice system is not racist, as long as we are talking about free individuals acting on their property, they have the right to be biased in any way they want. They grant you a privilege by your presence on their land, and you should just accept it. Sometimes it will be disadvantageous to a black person who's never committed any crime, but he's not imprisoning you. He's not depriving you of your liberty. He's checking you, and he has the right to do so.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the issue with what you said about the criminal justice, I mean, because I know you're not. I mean, well, you're sort of where we could talk about where we are politically. Maybe we'll do a more in-depth show because we're getting close to the end where we talk about our differences and agreements politically. My thing is with that is that, okay, the criminal justice system is absolutely not racist. The only evidence that anybody that says that it's racist can present is that there are disparities of outcomes statistically among the races. And that is predicated on the assumption that the races commit crimes at the same rate, which manifestly they don't. It's obvious that they don't. We have decades, hundreds of years of data that they don't. We know that black people are the most prone to crime for a number of reasons, probably due to lower average IQ, higher amount of testosterone in their blood, possibly some other genes that might make them more aggressive. We don't know entirely, but we know that the observed reality is blacks are less intelligent and more violent than white people are. These are the facts. Like, I'm sorry, all of science shows this. Like, all the data shows it. You have to engage in some kind of postmodernist deconstruction, denial of reality in order to avoid this fact. And so, of course, no matter how much big brain people try to teach you, don't act on this, don't look at it, don't understand it, the average person is going to act on this anyway, because they're going to have the sense of it and they're going to have the observational experience, and that's what they're going to act on. You have to literally in your brain deliberately short circuit your own instincts in order to not act differently around black people and white people. And so it's absurd that the elite wants us to do this. And it's not even necessarily, I'm going to get accused of being an axe. It's not necessarily all blacks, but certainly like white presenting blacks probably put people's defenses up less than, black presenting blacks, like youths. But yeah.
I agree with the statistical statement. Black people commit more crime. That's why there is an increased outcome of black people ending in prison. Now, I think we should not deny the fact that some events can be events of racism. I mean, some policemen can be racist. It's not a systemic thing. It's not something that comes out statistically in any sort of serious, evidence-based way. But we can deny that it can happen. And I will say we should not deny that there is a responsibility for anyone working in the criminal justice system to implement presumption of innocence. And all of the legitimate racist judgment that we can have in the private sphere, you can be biased against black people in your reproductive choice, in who you follow around in a Nordstrom shopping mall. But we cannot let this influence any criminal justice decision. And I don't think that it's a systemic issue, but I think it can happen. And we should be aware that when you are an agent of the state enforcing violent imprisonment of people, you need to follow the presumption of innocence principle, which includes not finding people guilty for their race or even biasing your approach for their race.
I mean, I get that, but I think that, sure, I can sort of, in an abstract sense, in the current system, agree with that, but I don't think that it's even really a problem, particularly not when you're dealing with blacks. I don't think that there's any evidence of systemic bias against blacks, and I think incidents of individual police officers being biased against blacks are extremely rare. We have data on this even when it comes to shootings. Police actually hesitate more when they shoot if it's a black suspect than a suspect of another race.
Absolutely. So blacks, we need to dismantle the SJW speech on this being a systemic issue. But at the same time, we need to remind every time that there is an individual responsibility for everyone in the justice system not to act in racist ways.
That's fine, and I mean, I know that's important to you. I'm not encouraging them to do that, but I think that in terms of what's important right now, far more important is the issue of people being discriminated against, white people particularly being discriminated against for their ideological views by the justice system, for example, where the people that are actually getting railroaded in the courts are not blacks. That are blacks have every legal advantage. They and not only that, the court system is a vector of attack that is used by people that are hostile to whites and are hostile to a cohesive society in order to further break down social norms and laws. So basically, these black people that were trespassing and were rightly removed from the store are now using this. They're probably going to get a lot of money out of Starbucks. There's going to be some kind of lawsuit. They're going to get some money out of Starbucks and some discrimination crap. Starbucks is now, I don't particularly care about the Starbucks Corporation because if they let this shit happen, as far as I'm concerned, they get what's coming to them. But they're going to hand over a bunch of money to these people. They're going to hand over, what really pisses me off is that there's going to be these diversity consultants, right? These diversity consultants that are going to be the ones that are going to do this diversity training, and they're going to get a lot of money. And I wouldn't be so now, if you want to get really fucking conspiratorial, if I were a diversity consultant, what would I do but to gin up diversity incidents at big companies and then be like, oh, well, I'll come in and I'll do diversity training so your company can save face. And if not, well, we know a lot of people in the media. You wouldn't want this to blow up now, would you? And so now what we have is the whole media apparatus is saying, oh, isn't it great that Starbucks is taking these steps? They are critical. And then Starbucks basically says, okay, now we're going to take the steps. We're going to have the diversity training or whatever. And, so this is what's going on. And this is a business model that these people have been running on for a while, these diversity trainers, diversity consultants. And the other thing is, if I were on the left, maybe I'd be concerned about this, but me being who I am, I think it's hilarious. Diversity training makes people racist. It makes white people racist. It does.
The Starbucks coffee just got $1 more expensive.
That's the part I'm looking forward to, though, is going to be the repercussions of doing all this diversity training and sitting people down and preaching at them for hours and hours.
It does not have the effect that they want. But again, the issue is, I mean, they're trying to basically what happens is in academia, where a lot of this crap comes from, where a lot of these ideologies stem out of academia, this stuff works. This is how they maintain ideological conformity in the academy. So they have the diversity training stuff. They have everybody believes in this crap, and they have the tranny stuff, and everybody believes in that. And if you don't, like that liberal girl at Laurier University, forget what her name is. She's pretty cute though. But anyway, I forget her name. So she like didn't want to do the tranny thing, or she thought there was like a debate to be had.
Oh, Tiffany Shepard.
And they ended up.
Shepard? I can't remember. I was trying to remember her name.
Yeah, something like it's not important. So they drummed her out, and so basically they had and now she's talking to totally not homophobic Mark Stein. She did like an hour show where she talked to Mark Stein. So like, they identified a threat, an ideological nonconformist through that tranny stuff, right? And they do the same with the race stuff. The funny thing is,
Lindsay
they're trying
Shepard.
to bring this out into the wider population now, and it's not going to work, right? It'll work on academics because academics are by nature conformists, right? They're by nature they are like they're middle class. They have a lot to lose. They're conformists. They're system people. And so you can easily get them to go along with the program with all this diversity training and don't discriminate against transsexuals. Bring that out to the general population. People are like, yeah, fuck you. Like, you know what I mean? So
I left academia when this was starting, and I essentially left the system. I'm tired. I was tired of having to interact with this kind of stuff. I think that I would hope, I don't think it's realizable, but I would hope that there would be a law coming out that says you cannot morally condescend on someone who has not committed anything. You cannot give a diversity training to someone who has not committed racist acts. By doing so, you are violating the presumption of innocence. You are educating them on something you haven't proved at all it was needed. I would hope that we could get there in society, but I don't think we will. I think that the system of moral repression that you described will continue growing. And you said it's a business. These are people coming out of unproductive college degrees, and they're like, okay, how do I change the world with what I know now? Well, let's instigate corporate policies aimed at acceptance and diversity and all this stuff. It is absolutely unproductive. It is the death of our nation as a productive system of capitalist production. We are currently letting all of our productivity go away to a bunch of thinkers who stay in offices and who want to control the workforce.
I think it's kind of funny that JF would rather work with autistic monkeys than be in academia.
Well, it's probably a whole lot more interesting.
Yeah, right. You think?
What I would like to do
with monkeys in academia.
Yeah,
what I would like to
the monkeys.
Gather a bunch of autistic monkeys and like set them loose in like the English department.
Well, you know what they say, Mike. You get enough. You get enough.
Just like set them.
You get enough autistic monkeys and typewriters in one room. You'll get the alternativehypothesis.org.com. Fuck, I fucked that all up.
I mean,
can we do a retake on that?
In a universe of infinite time with infinite monkeys and infinite typewriters, eventually they will punch out althype.org. Yeah, they will absolutely happen. Like,
that is true.
I don't have any drops befitting of an autistic monkey. I don't. I'm like at a loss here.
You don't have any. You don't have any like gorilla sounds, or
I guess I do. I mean, they're so old. They're not in the rotation anymore.
The ape sounds are old, man. That's from episode. That was from our first Ferguson episode.
Episode 3. I mean, I could probably put something together if you want to give me a second here. I don't know.
That's all right.
Nah, it's too late. The moment has passed.
Yeah. The moment. It would have been great to have. I didn't know we were going to go to the monkey thing. It would have been great if it had the monkey sounds queued up.
I don't even know. Oh, I found the chimps. There's some chimps. You know, you got one right there. There's one. There's several. I had so many chimp sounds.
very check flag.
You're gonna give JF like flashbacks. He's gonna start clutching his thighs like, oh god.
Where's my Alex Jones saying autistic? That's what
autistic.
Oh.
Autistic. Autistic.
There. Okay. There. Bit complete. Autistic monkeys.
But yeah, I mean, I think JF takes a very libertarian take on this, which is very familiar, the kind of language and rhetoric that you're using and the points that you're making, and I agree with them. And those views led me down to where I am now. Whereas I think that it is a wider, there is the issues of like private property and ownership and not trespassing and respect for others and things like that. And I completely agree with all of that. But it's also like there is a systemic issue, and it's not just like there is thought control, that's part of it, and the academic thought controllers wanting to control everyone, that's part of it. But there's a race angle here too, and this is also a vector for rent seeking by blacks against whites. Yeah. In this case, they're hitting a Jewish corporation, so I'll just sit here and chuckle. But I don't care if like Howard Kurtz, I think that's the guy's name. Yeah, Howard Kurtz, the chairman of Starbucks. I don't give a shit if this guy's out $15 million. Fuck him.
It's not him that's going to bear the brunt of it. Like, yeah, they're going to close the stores, but it's going to be like
Zach.
It's going to be Zach. Zach is going to be fucked. And this goes to like, I don't know. They've kind of embraced, like we've talked about, like the injustice of ending something like segregation, where now minorities walk around with whites who are supposedly have all the power, and we try to hold them to our standards, and it's cruel. Like, I forget whose narrative this is. Like it's cruel to hold blacks to the property standards that you, JF, were talking about before, whereas in a Nordstrom they have to be followed around by, that's obviously that's like kind of degrading to be followed around by a security guard because they think you're going to steal just because you're black, or for whatever reason they have. In this case, because it's a black person.
Is autistic, so he doesn't feel those kind of emotions.
Oh, that's right.
He sees the logic in what they're doing, and he's like, well, okay. Oh, okay. He's actually happy. He's like, this store is behaving in a logical manner. That's good.
But I would just put out there as a
your insight into my mind.
So it makes perfect sense for you to be following me around. I don't look like I'm entirely right in the head, so you should be.
But it's like a beginner's red pill, right? Like, this kind of treatment is crueler than, like, it would be less cruel to have a no colors allowed sign on the front of that store. It eliminates that issue, right? Like, go
or
shop
just
at
have the social understanding, like this is not a place for black people.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
This is, but generally,
however it's accomplished, whether it's through separation.
Well, there's ways you can do this, and you'll see some stores do these things, like they'll play classical music.
Classical music.
Oh yeah, dude, the classical music stuff's really interesting.
Well, what does Nordstrom Rack play? I guess the Rack is that's the lesser Nordstrom, right? Nordstrom is the nice one. Nordstrom Rack is kind of.
The problem is by people understanding the classical music thing, they will actually now disallow people playing classical music in their stores. I don't know if you knew this, JF. That black people will avoid places where classical music is being played because they don't enjoy it.
Yeah, especially if they can hear it over the rap blasting on their speakerphone, or in some cases, advanced black will have a very large Bluetooth speaker with them. But if you can drown that out with classical music, they won't hang out there anymore. It's a good trick.
Yeah. And this has actually been studied, and some business proprietors that have had problems with blacks loitering and trespassing have taken to playing classical music out front of their stores, and the blacks will not congregate there because of the classical music it's unpleasant for them because it's too complicated.
I didn't know.
Yeah, and the other thing is, white people, even if they don't enjoy that particular classical arrangement, they'll still signal how much they appreciate it, so that other whites won't. Yeah,
instead of like, they basically swapped the crowd of loitering black people for a crowd of loitering swipple, trying to like signal to each other their knowledge of classical music. At least there's less property damage, though.
A lot less property.
It's true. I'm just saying.
Without the rat-a-tat beats.
The other thing is, like, to me at least, depending on what it is, like, some classical music is like bombastic. So the kind of classical music that does get to me sometimes is stuff where they take it down And there's like a bombastic crescendo all of a sudden. I'm like, all right, can we not? Can we just like keep it at an even keel? For a store, you don't want that. For a store, you want the kind that's just like on an even keel. And then it's just this pleasant background noise that kind of makes you feel a little bit more relaxed. But apparently for blacks, like they find this really unpleasant. Like to their ears, it's grating and it's like they can't take it. The same way, like, they don't like movies with like involved plots. Like they want to see easy plot. You understand plot? Yeah, complexity.
They need like a 90 BPM 4/4 simple beat to follow. They can just
remember when Striker
stuff like Sven likes to play. That's what they like.
Yeah.
Very simple arrangements.
They would much prefer Sven's music.
What are you talking about?
They would. They absolutely would.
I wrote a 7-minute song yesterday. There's nothing simple about it, and it's all rat-a-tat-tat.
Yeah. Striker's theory about how like 4/4 time is Jewish. It's like mind control.
It could be.
He did a whole bit on it one time, and I was like, all right, I'm with you on the anti-Semitism, but like,
there's a sense I'm not. It's possible to be too woke. It's possible to be.
Yeah, that's
too
like
woke.
high levels of woke. Like,
what if it's 4/4, but it's triplet feel? What is that? Triplet feel.
Oh, you'll have to ask him, man. I don't.
Now we're into another whole different field of autism here.
Yeah, I'm not like claiming any knowledge about that.
Well, that's where you count. You still count 1, 2. You do 1.
I'm reviewing my whole childhood. I've been learning 4/4s, and I'm like, what did they do to me?
Yeah. They made you appreciate like jungle beats. They made you like.
I hate this meme. I need to break this down.
Basic beats and easy time signatures. It's easy listening, so they dumbed you down with it. You should be listening to 7/8 time only.
I don't like this meme that having 4/4 time signatures is like negrified music. We have to push back on that.
So what you're saying is you don't like.
I want to hear you push back on.
Well, I need to do some research on it. I'm not prepared right now, but like. This is all music that like straight like 4/4 with accents on 2 and 4 with your snare. Like that's so white. Like I don't care if somebody can claim that blacks invented that. I would be. I disagree.
No,
but like,
actually, no, you're right. Like they didn't invent it because it's actually a regular.
Yeah.
It takes. They didn't invent it.
No.
Like and the funny thing is like the whole like blacks invented the blues or whatever. I mean, we were gonna for a long time ago. We
have to do the deep dive, but the problem is you have to do a lot of prep through the deep dives, and we all know
but the
how
basic
that
thing is that like the blues, to the extent there were blacks that innovated in this music style, which is true. They were reliant on a whole European history and tradition of music that they were using. So then if rock artists later on came and they took like Robert Johnson, which is the classic one, and they took some of that stuff and they incorporated it into their music, it's just the evolution of music. It's not like, it's like blacks they never invented a guitar. Like how did Robert Johnson get that guitar? It came out of, I believe Spain was where, Oh, did Jews invent the guitar?
Some Jew gave him. No, I said some Jew gave it to him. Here.
I thought this musical style is ultimately influenced by strains of Celtic music that came here and sort of germinated Appalachia.
Oh, great! So still non-white people. Goddamn Celts.
Wait, which style of music? Blues?
This sort of stuff that eventually would become blues.
Delta blues. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. I'm just pulling this out of my ass. I could be completely wrong.
Sounds like it, yeah.
What'd you have, JF?
I'm willing to take a controversial stance and say that the 3/3 is an exclusively white type of music. It's the whitest type of music ever.
3/3.
I think you just invented the third. I think you just invented third
in French.
Oh, okay. Oh, the waltz. Okay, yeah.
Oh, 3/4. 3/4. I was wondering, you just invented the third note. Right. I've never heard of a third note. Actually, a third note
is... You just invented a new style of music right here on the show.
A third note is probably like a dotted quarter, right? That's kind of a third of a measure, of a 4/4 measure, a dotted quarter.
3/4 is what I meant.
Yeah, 3/4.